Hello, everyone, and welcome back. And today I'd like to continue talking about Dale Carnegie's book. And last time we talked about part one of the book, which is fundamental techniques in handling people. And we talked about three principles to open up this book. The first one was not to criticize, condemn, or complain, no matter how wrong it will be, right? From Crowley to Al Capone, everybody just wants to be defensive and justify themselves for their, even though they did something wrong, and they even say that they're doing it for the best of other people. Even like criminals are trying to defend themselves. So don't criticize, condemn, or complain, no matter how wrong it may be. Remember, we talked about that by punishing another person, you're not really gonna change their behavior. Rather, you wanna show appreciation for another person and encourage their actions and encourage their efforts to improve. The second principle was to give honest and sincere appreciation. So remember, not flattery, but actually appreciating and encouraging the other person for doing something, or to keep talking about what they want to talk about and making them feel important, because everybody has that desire to be important and appreciated. So really, this second principle is to stop thinking about yourself and really showing appreciation and admiration for the other individual whom you're talking to. And the third principle that we discussed was arousing in the other person an eager want. So talking about what the other person wants and showing them how to get it. So asking them questions, really being involved about the other person's interest. And I think this is really, really important. So that would be the third principle. This does not mean manipulating someone so that he will do something that is only for your benefit and his detriment, but rather each party should gain something from the negotiation. So not only talking about yourself, but also looking at the other person's point of view and seeing things from the other person's angle. So really arousing him in what he wants to talk about, asking him questions, encouraging him to continue saying his story and looking at things from his point of view. And part two, which I will be discussing today, involves 6 ways to make people like you. So that's where the book comes in, like winning friends and how to be likable by other people. So this part 2 has 6 principles that I will be discussing in this video. The first one is to be sincerely interested in and admire other people. So kind of related to the last one, being enthusiastic and saying hello with energy and greeting people. To make friends, you need to do things for the other person that require your time, energy, and attention, right? So you just want to show that you're interested in the other person, investing your time, energy, and attention to listen, right? Saying hello, being polite, greeting people, and being enthusiastic to actually listen to the other person and encourage them to speak, etc. The second principle of part 2 is to smile, because smiling makes a good impression and brightens everyone's day. It signals goodwill. It signals that you want the best for the other person. And actions speak louder than words. And smiling instead of an insincere grin is definitely a good idea. It was shown that even on the phone, a smile can be conveyed in a person's manner of talking and his tone of voice. When you smile, you feel happier, because actions and feelings actually go together. In fact, when you smile, you release happy, feel-good hormones. You can also change your way of thinking and be happy. You can choose to be happy. You can make rules, and I remember talking about this in Tony Robbins' book. You can make rules to make it easy for you to be happy. You can choose to be happy. And just by forcing a smile, because feeling and actions go together, you are actually happier physiologically or biologically as well, which is pretty cool. And you can choose your thoughts in reaction to any circumstance. Smiling costs nothing to you, nor does it deprive you of anything, but benefits greatly the receiver of that smile. Okay? And the third principle was to remember people's names. It's what sets people apart and makes them unique. Their name is their unique quality. It's their unique features. Their name it makes them special. People value their names a lot, and for them it's the most special and important sound in the language. So try to remember it. It is what makes someone unique and gives him or her pride. It's what makes them feel important. It's what gives that person pride. Concentrate on it and repeat it in your mind. So concentrate on the person's name and repeat it, right? And you can ask the person to repeat it as well. You can ask the person to repeat its spelling so that you can better remember it. And you can practice using it by repeating it with a conversation with that person. I mean, don't overdo it, but you can repeat it, in a conversation with that person so that you can better remember it. And you can also associate it with the person's characteristics, features, or appearance and write it down. So you can kind of write down the person's name, and you can also visualize the person's appearance and kind of try to associate and link the person's name with how he looks like, with his appearance, with his features. Okay, and the reason why writing it down is good, because if you write it down, not only you have the auditory input to remember the name, but also the visual input. So that's why writing it down is also a good idea to even better foster the remembrance of other people's names. And so be sincere and interested in the other person's smile, and remember people's names. So that means you're actually interested in the other person, and not only names, their dates of birth, etc. Right? The fourth principle is to be a good conversationalist. And being a good conversationalist means being a good listener and paying attention to the person speaking. It's not always conversing. It's not always you talking about your life and about what you want, but it's listening to the other person, listening to what he wants, listening to his career, listening to whatever he has to say, and encouraging people to talk about themselves. Yes, being interested, asking questions, and encouraging the person to talk about him or herself. So that's the fourth principle. Being a good conversationalist is actually listening to the other person's point of view, to what the other person has to tell you. The fifth principle is to think in terms of the other person's interest. Roosevelt actually studied the topic or subject of his guests that they were interested in. So talk about not what you treasure most all the time, but what the other person treasures most. So listen to the other person and actually encourage the other person to talk about what he wants to talk, by thinking in terms of his interest, reviewing his interest ahead of time, and talking about what he wants to talk about his interests. And then the sixth principle is making the other person feel important and letting them know that you recognize their importance and worth and value and pride, and respect them. Give him or her what you would have given yourself. So just as you would want others to act towards yourself, act towards that person. Make him feel important. Talk to people about themselves, and they will listen to others, said Disraeli, a British Empire ruler. So talk to people about themselves, and they'll listen for hours. So they'll listen for hours at a time if you talk to them about themselves, about their interests. If you talk to them about your interest, they're gonna lose your interest. They're gonna lose their attention, and they will just end the conversation, and they will feel not so good because they weren't able to feel important, right? If you talk to the person about their interest and about what they want to talk about, they feel important, and as a result, they want to continue speaking. But if you talk to them about what they're not interested in, they don't want to continue talking, and they don't feel as important. And that's really important in business, in relationships, in all aspects of life. So again, if you want to make people like you, and if you want to win friends, be sincere and in your interest towards other people. Invest your time, energy, and attention to them. So listen, smile, right? Have those good vibes, vibes make a good first impression. Remember their names. Listen to what they have to tell you. Think in terms of their interests, maybe reviewing what they're interested in, the topics that they want to talk about ahead of time so that you're well prepared, and actually encouraging the other person to keep on talking about their interests and talk to them about their interests, not about yours, and make the other person feel important, right? Again, listen to them and talk to them about what they want to talk about their interests.